Hello everyone, today I'm doing the Jesse the Reader Terrible Titles book tag. No, I'm not. And you know why? Because there's no such thing as the Jesse the Reader Terrible Titles book tag. But I did see a video by Jesse the Reader. It was on his channel today. Jesse the Reader is a charismatic booktuber with a lot of subscribers and a lot of good ideas. And this was a really good one, and it was one that I thought about because I haven't filmed all week because I've been a little bit under the weather, and I didn't want to end the week without filming something. And this is one I think I could just do on the fly, and it immediately got me thinking about something I've thought about before. We've probably all thought about before when we've picked up a book and we saw, what is this title? And I have got a few like those. So this is my top 5 terrible titles that aren't so terrible, but I came in, I looked at the bookshelf, and I thought, what are the ones that are on this shelf that are titles that I've already thought about and I think would do better with a better title? And since imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, here we go with my top 5 terrible titles off the top of my head. And Jesse, I'm sure you're watching this as you do with all of my videos, so thank you for the inspiration. These aren't really terrible titles, but they're titles that I take exception with, so I'm going to talk about those right now. First up is Consider Phlebas. I still don't know if this is pronounced Phlebas, Phlebas, what have you. The Culture series by Ian M. Banks is amazing. It's a far future, gigantic imagined universe. It's one of the best series I've ever read, and if I do a top series list, this is going to be right up there in the top 10. I just don't like this title. I'm not going to harp on it. Consider Phlebas. If you didn't know anything else about this and you saw this on the bookshelf and you saw that title, are you going to pick it up? I don't think so. Wool by Hugh Howey is a really great book. It's a dystopian world. We're in this underground bunker. And the title, I believe, alludes to the idea of pulling the wool over your eyes, which is sort of clever. It's also kind of spoilery to have that as the title of this book. This is one, though, even though I think the title doesn't really suit the book, it is one I think if you see it on the shelf, kind of going in knowing what this sort of is, and you had the original buzz about it, I think you do look at it like, ooh, that's kind of a cool title. And it does sort of fit in with like the Silo series, and then you've got Wool. Still a great book to read, just not a really great title for me. We're going to skip back in time for this next one. This is 1987. Isaac Asimov's Robot City. This is not an Isaac Asimov book. It's called Isaac Asimov's Robot City. It's William E. Wu. This is a cute little story. It was one of the first, it probably was the first thing where I think Asimov let somebody else jump into his universe and use his universe and robots to make this story. This is going to be the least well-known, I think, on all of the books that I'm talking about here, so I'm going to give this a little plug. Beyond Aurora awaits a brave new world of robots, a man without a memory, trapped in a city of robots gone wild. At his side, a mysterious woman who claims to know his identity, but refuses to tell him who he is. Together, they must find an insane cyborg stalking the streets of Robot City, a time bomb indistinguishable from ordinary robots. The young man's name is Derek. The identity of his female companion and the location of the cyborg are just two of the mysteries he must solve within the fantastic confines of a most unlikely metropolis. So it is a fun read, and it's a good little mystery, and I think it actually did Asimov proud. I think he was really happy with this story, and it had robots in it, so of course Asimov was going to like it. But seriously, you couldn't get any more unimaginative with this title. Now, there's going to be more titles that are worse than this. What I did when I saw this video that Jesse the Reader did earlier was to just look at my bookshelf and say, okay, what are the ones that just really stand out? This was like the first one that I saw. Call it something else. And I hate when it has like so-and-so's Robot City. Yes, you have to give homage to it and credit to Asimov because it's kind of his thing. But putting it in the title, I don't know. I just don't like that. It doesn't work for me. Isaac Asimov's Robot City. This next one is a book I really loved. It's one of my favorite books of 2021. It's a novella, and it's by one of my favorite authors, Nettie Okorafor, and it's Remote Control. I've yet to meet anybody who thinks this title was a great idea. especially after I read it. I wanted to do a review on this, and usually what happens is after I do reviews, I like to kind of look and see what other people have said about it. And this is a hard one to look up because remote control, you're going to get like how to use the remote control. Well, you know, you can just put the author's name in, but still, that sort of illustrates the idea right there. Is it's such a common name, and it does apply to the story. This is a neat little story. It's set in Ghana, and I think there's one part maybe in Nigeria, but the descriptions of Ghana are just like really neat, just like really subtle things and nuance that really make you feel like you're in that setting. The character is Sankofa, and she's this young girl, I want to say 14 years old if I remember correctly, and she has this mystical ability because something falls from the sky, and then she spends the rest of the book sort of trying to find this thing. She has this little fox Movenpeck that follows her around, and it's very, very good. But again, I just come back to this title. The cover is really beautiful too. I just would have liked maybe even a name that like evokes a feel of Africa or something like that might have been a better match. Okorafor also wrote the amazing Binti series. It's a series of novellas, and like, I don't know, it has more like a tribal feel of the name. And the book really, even though the story is not really about Ghana, it's about the people there, it would have been neat to have something that maybe evoked the culture a little bit or something. I don't know. But this was definitely going to be on my list. This was one even before I thought about terrible titles. From day one that I picked it up, terrible title. Finally, my current read, and this is a reread for me, The Stars, My Destination. This is by Alfred Bester, and I can't open this book or show this book without reading the beginning of part 1, and this from Blake. Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forests of the night, what immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? Or symmetry, but it sounds better if you rhyme it. This is such a good book. I can't wait to do a review on this, but I do have to do a reread before I can do it. The original title of this was Tiger, Tiger, and that's the right title for this book. I actually like the title, The Stars, My Destination, just not for this book. It fits, it's appropriate, but Tiger, Tiger is the name of this book. And while we're at it, we are going to have a new category, terrible bookmarks. So I just finished reading Adrian Tchaikovsky's Shards of Earth, which was really good. Hoping to get a review out on that soon. And in that one, I had a real bookmark, which usually never happens. It's usually like a little like Russian flashcard from the kids, or a real bookmark. No, not a real bookmark, but like an index card or a receipt or something like that, which isn't uncommon. I know people do that. I had my bookmark in the Shards of Earth because there's a page that I wanted to recall something, so I left the bookmark in there. But I wanted to get right into this, so like I literally finished Shards of Earth. I put it down. I picked this up, and I couldn't find a bookmark. It looked like the house, we just cleaned and everything, so there was like no little scraps of paper or anything. I happened to find this little guy, and this is like a wrapper from a Magnum, a candy bar, a Magnum, get your minds out of the gutter, a Magnum candy bar, and I guess one of the kids left that out. So like this little scrap is the bookmark. And when I take little scraps and I don't like to use them as a bookmark, I'll still use them throughout the book because it's there. It's not even worth going and finding another one. But this is one like I'm going to change. This thing sucks. It's a terrible bookmark, but it's doing the job for right now. We're on about page 50. I don't think it's going to last till about page 100. What are we talking about? Oh, let's come back to Stars, My Destination. This is a really cool book. I didn't think I was going to do really reviews on these, so I think I skipped kind of the reviews on Consider Phlebas and Wool, other than a little bit of background. And I'm looking down here because that's where I have the books. There's a little chair here. I'm sure that's exciting to know. But since I'm saying a little bit about these books, The Stars, My Destination, or Tiger, Tiger, if you will, is a really great read. I highly recommend this for science fiction readers. This could be a good one to put on like just a list of anything of like, hey, introducing somebody to science fiction or beginners in science fiction. I think that's a good kind of list for this to be high up on. It's really enjoyable. The premise is Gullyfoyle is the protagonist. Well, yeah, I guess he's the protagonist, but he's an unlikable protagonist in a lovable kind of way. Like lovable in that like you love that the story is doing that and giving you this guy who you kind of are rooting for him, but you also don't like him because he's just a sucky guy. But like something bad happened to him and he wants to get revenge. And maybe the most interesting thing about the science fiction in this is everybody can jaunt, and jaunting is teleportation. So by thinking about a spot, the elevation, God, I've read this book enough times that I should remember what these are. But one of the things is there's 3 different things that you have to think about, and then you can jaunt and you can go anywhere, maybe 1,000 feet. Some people can go farther than that, but you can just by thinking about it go somewhere else. And it's not exclusive to certain people. Like everybody can do it, except I think if you're blind, perhaps. But I'm not going to spoil it, mostly because I haven't read it in a while, so I can't remember all of the details. But those are the most important parts to know about this. There's not a lot of representation, I think, in jaunting, or teleportation in classic science fiction or modern science fiction, at least in a lot of the popular literature. So this is a really cool one to take a look at. It definitely occupies its own unique space in science fiction. So going back through, we've got Consider Phlebas. A little bit more about that. That is part of the Culture series. We've got Wool, part of the Silo, the beginning of the Silo series. Isaac Asimov's Robot City, not by Isaac Asimov. Remote Control by the amazing Nettie Okorafor. And The Stars, My Destination by Alfred Bester. Thank you for watching today. Please like and subscribe. This is a great video to comment on because I'd love to hear like your terrible titles. Give me your top 5 or give me one. Give me one terrible title in the comments. I'll love to like reply to that and see if we are in agreement on the terrible titles. If you like the titles of any of these, let me know that too. Please like, subscribe, click the notification bell, and YouTube will let you know every Thursday at 1 o'clock when I release new content. Thank you.